This broadcast is live. Well,
We are live. Hello going out to Facebook today. Terry James here, mindset coach and digital entrepreneur. Today I've got Paul Wilson, my friend, colleague, and collaborator. Paul's a mindset coach for ambitious business owners. He's dedicated the last 29 years to helping people, turning his passions into mind and human behavior into his now career. He's pioneered his own The Control System. We're going to learn about this today, which is a radically different way of helping, coping, dealing with anxiety, predominantly for business owners, but this stuff is for everybody. And it's different to hypnosis. Well, hypnosis without trance, hey, Paul. So that's where my background is, with very much like the law of attraction, hypnosis, mindset reprogramming. So today we're actually going out down here. I'm down live on Instagram. Happy after Christmas to everyone, of course, as well. The day after Boxing Day. We've come out today to give some value to you. We're shaven, we're fresh.
hang on, excuse me. Sorry, I haven't come out. I have not come out. I am boringly straight line, arrow pointed. You know, none of this coming out stuff. Sorry, you might want to come out, Terry, if you've got something to share. But me personally, there's no need to come out. Sorry. Just wanted to clarify that, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we're here anyway, and we're here to serve you, and we hope you have a lovely weekend for Christmas. We're actually going live into LinkedIn, into YouTube, into Twitter, and into a few places on Facebook as well. So if you're watching this, chuck us in a comment. We can get back to you. If you've got any questions for either of us as well as we go on, we'll be here for about half an hour today, dropping some value for you. So it's great to have you on, Paul. I take it you've had a lovely weekend with the family.
Well, I live on my own, and I'm a little bit kind of my boys are grown up, so they're out and about doing what young men in their 20s do, and let's not go down that road. But I've had a very restful Christmas. Christmas Day has been quite challenging for me in the past because I've lived alone now for the past 9 years, and the first few were really difficult. I would cry and get upset and get really peed off and all the rest of it. And I thought, hang on a minute, that's not a really good use of your time. So what I do now is I treat it as a normal day. And Christmas Day this year, I did a lot of online volunteering stuff. So, for example, there's a guy called Keith Greenstead, who I met through another group. He created something called Goodbye Lonely. Lots and lots of people are very, very lonely. And I'm not going to use the word epidemic because it's overly used, but more and more people are starting to feel that way. So he set up a series of calls from the 1st of December through to the 1st of January, where people could just come in and either have a chat or not have a chat, screen on, screen off, and just listen. And we would just chew the fat, Christmas carols and crazy quizzes and all kinds of silly things, just to be there for people that needed company. And it's not been massively oversubscribed, but there's a couple of really brilliant things that have happened. There's one lady who was on her own and really upset at being on her own the first time ever because her husband passed away earlier this year. Keith was on a radio show talking about this. A lady from the same town as the first person I've just spoke about went, "Oh, I'm in the same town as her, but I'm in hospital at the moment." Keith has connected those two up who have now become friends, and they're kind of supporting each other because they both live alone. One was alone and upset in hospital, and they're now regularly chatting on the phone. And there's been a few cases like that. So it's been a really, really cool thing. And I'm just glad to be part of it and spending my Christmas Day, watching a few action movies as you do on Christmas Day, but also taking part in these calls as well. So it's been unusual. And God, I'm down in Folkestone in Kent. The weather has been abysmal. It's been abominable snowman without the snow. It's cold and wet and grey and horrible.
Yeah, they said there might be a bit of snow. I'm actually not that far away from you. I'm in Kent as well, down in Tunbridge Wells. But yeah, it's just been rain, isn't it, the last few days, which has been great because our dog didn't want to go out. So it saved me a few dog walks. But I just want to say commendable and hat off to you, brother, for getting involved with those connection and support systems for people, especially like what you do anyway, let alone this time of year, which is especially hard for people. I know that 4 years ago, I broke down in a shower because I was having a breakup, living in Spain, having lost babies, relationship gone, and came back and was like living at nanny's house. And I was broken. And bless her, she was there for me and really, really helped me, and actually was the one that really encouraged me to go down the hypnotherapy route for my own well-being, to understand things and to go about reprogramming all the stuff that, what now seems quite easy, and there's a lot of clarity around the way I think and I feel now. But that clarity wasn't always there. I mean, I was 37 years old before kind of being unplugged and switched. So I just wanted to say massive thank you for the work that you do. And of course, that connection that people are craving so much more so now than they ever have done, because they might be stuck at home just looking into screens and stuff. And of course, we know pre all of this stuff that's been going on and happening right now in our lives, we'd already gone on that journey of actually working with people, talking about like the human factors with societal as well as people's behavior as human beings. Obviously I went down that first route of hypnotherapy, which essentially is, let's figure out what's happening in the body and mind, where anxiety, OCDs and depression come from, but more importantly, what we can do about it. So I've loved interacting with you and meeting you, and the control system, doing the therapy and the coaching style that you have, and helping people, predominantly business owners or entrepreneurs, we call them, or newbie entrepreneurs. Tell us a little bit about the control system and how's it, how's it different to what I know now about trance therapy, going within to the place of no thought, so that you can then connect and reprogram, rewire some of that, neuro-linguistics through language. So let's get educated. How does it work?
Okay, so first thing I want to make really absolutely clear is I did not create the control system. A guy called Tim Box created it. And I was a student of his back in 2018. Basically, it goes back further than that, because I quit my job in the corporate world in the back end of 2017, and I was going to become a professional photographer. And I, as part of my research, I got talking to guys that had been in the industry 20, 30, 40 years, and they went, Paul, don't do it. And I went, why not? I love photography. It's my thing. It's my passion. I just really love it. And they said, no, Paul, because look, everybody, one of these things, and I'm holding up a mobile phone, now calls himself a photographer. And without being silly, they were saying that, people will work for exposure. And for those of you that don't know, exposure is a photography term. And what they meant was that people would literally work for nothing. I went to a potential job and the person said, we can't pay you, Paul, we get loads of exposure. So I thought, I'm not having this. So I kind of pretended. I picked up my phone. I'm just calling my landlord. What be a second? Hi, landlord, it's Paul here. Listen, I've just about to be offered a job here and they want to pay me exposure. Is it okay if I pay my rent in exposure? No. Well, you want cash? Oh, I'm really sorry. I can't do this job because the landlord wants cash. So yeah, literally people working for nothing, not even peanuts. And they said the only way to really make it in the kind of the photography world is just to work 27 hours a day, 8 days a week. And by the end of a couple of months, you're going to hate your camera, never want to see it again. And I thought, well, you know what? As a bit of a bind, because that's what I told everybody I was going to do. And that's what I thought I was going to do. So what do I do now? So 2018 became the year of discovery for me. And I took on a personal trainer, lost a bit of fat and put on some muscle. And as a side hustle, him and his wife were hypnotherapists who were doing the control system. And they invited me along to a one-day kind of try it before you buy it kind of thing. And I got working with this lady who had a fear of snakes and wriggly things. Now, for those of you that don't live in the UK, we do not have anything venomous snake-wise. Okay, we've got an adder, which is so rare, you've got more chance of winning the lottery on the same day and being struck by lightning 5 minutes after than you have of actually seeing one of these things. They're very shy, they're very timid, and they're very rare. So there's no real reason why people in Britain should be afraid of snakes, but a lot of us are. Yeah. So I did this work, and at the end of the day, she went, "Oh yeah, that's great, Paul. Yeah, fine." But I'm thinking, you know what? I'm not convinced. But the next day was a Sunday, and this lady and her family traditionally go out for a walk in the woods. And hubby, he's got his phone out and videoing everything. The kids are in the background doing what kids do, and you can hear him on this video go, "Darling, you better just take a side, diversion, because look, there's a massive worm in your path." And she goes, no, it's okay. And she gets on her hands and knees in front of this worm, And she very gently scoops it up, carries it across to a patch of grass, and lays it down on the grass. Husband launches a stream of expletives. He can't believe what he's just seen and nearly drops his phone. And I'm going, bloody hell, I've got a superpower. So I went back to my PT. I said, who trained you? So a guy called Tim Box. Contacted Tim, went and did the training with Tim. I said, Tim, who trained you? And I went as far as I could up the ladder, bought every book, every course. I've got rooms full of hypnotherapy books. And I just loved it because you can literally, like you said, you can kind of wipe away unwanted habits, unwanted beliefs, unwanted behaviors like that. I can't click my fingers like that. There we go. And stop showing off. Yeah. And I thought, oh, wow, I can do it. But the thing was, really quickly, I discovered that all I was doing was helping a person deal with one tiny aspect of their lives, like a fear of this or a phobia of that or a little bit of something else. I said, I want to be able to do more to help people. So I kind of morphed into coaching because during my 25 years in corporate, I'd done coaching course, I'd done mentoring, I'd done training. So I can take those skills and put them with the hypnosis stuff and use that. Now, answering your question in a very long-winded fashion, as I'm prone to do, because I just love the sound of my voice so much.
We were built for radio then.
Absolutely. I've got a voice and a face for radio. Hypnosis, even today in 2021, almost 2022, there is still no unified description of what hypnosis is. You got some people say, well, if you're not in trance, you're not hypnotized. It's a permission thing. It's, the deep relaxation. So it's really unclear for a lot of people, even people in the industry, what hypnosis is. And the working with the control system is brilliant because you don't need the trance. Because a lot of people think, oh my God, if he hypnotizes me, will he turn me into a chicken? Or will he make me do something really rude or raucous or something inappropriate? And the answer is, well, no. Because first of all, it's extremely unlikely that you can make anybody do anything against their will. Now, I'm going to put a little tick there. If you're a government and you've got lots and lots of money, yes, you can make people do things against their will, but it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. And it takes a lot of, stuff to do and a lot of isolation. You're talking sleep deprivation and all kinds of crazy things. So it can be done. Yeah. But your humble hypnotist like myself and Terry, we can't make you do things against your will. Not, there has to be some part of you that wants to do this thing, which is why I don't work with husbands. Let me explain. I get a lot of wives ringing up going, Paul, my husband, Dave, he needs to see you. And my first question is, does Dave know he's got a problem? No. I say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Because to help someone, they have to know, A, that they've got a problem, B, that they want to get rid of the problem, and C, that there is a solution. So if they're not what we call problem aware, let me give you a really a good example. A guy's drinking 2 bottles of wine a night or 8 cans of lager a night. He hasn't got a problem. He doesn't see it as a problem. I've had a really busy day at work. I've come home, I just want to chill out. So I'm going to have half a dozen things of beer. Now, we know that over time that will become a problem. Health-wise, mental health, all kinds of different reasons. But if that person doesn't recognize that he's got a problem, you could try and hypnotize that person until the cows come home. It ain't going to have no effect. You have to want to make a change in some way, shape, or form. And so what the control system does, it uses the subconscious mind, but without using trance. And we use something called IMRs, ideomotor response. So before we go any further, everybody pretty much played with a pendulum when they were a kid. Yeah, or saw somebody playing with one. You got to wait on a piece of string and you'd ask a question, like a yes-no question. So, for example, let me ask a question now. Is it raining outside? So for me, forwards and backwards is yes. Is it raining outside? So you can see I'm not moving that and it's going forwards and backwards. Yeah. Let me stop it. Is there a blue sky and is it 35 degrees outside? Is there a blue sky and is it 35 degrees outside? No. Now, this is not magic. basically, in your fingertips, there are tiny little muscles which you cannot actually control consciously. Yeah. But your subconscious mind can control them. So this is a way, it's an idiomotor response. So using the pendulum to go that way or around in circles, you can get yes, no, or don't know answers. And so what Tim has worked on is using the fingers. So let's say somebody comes to me and goes, Paul, I want to lose weight. I'm 5 stone overweight. I've tried everything, and I've tried diets. I've tried this. I've tried that, and it doesn't work. So what we do using the control system is we see the subconscious mind as a ship and the crew. So the rational bit, the bit that's listening to me now, is the ship's captain. And the captain wants to go in his luxury liner from the port in Southampton to New York. Now, he can't do that, or she can't do that herself. She needs a crew. She needs crew in the engine room. She needs the entertainment staff. She needs the catering staff. She needs the deckhands. There's a whole different range of skills. That crew is the subconscious mind. So we leave Southampton and we point, due west to head towards New York. Now, what happens in life is we get to Ireland, and one of the crew members doesn't want to go to New York, because it happened, 10 years ago. They went there before and didn't like it. New York represents the problem. New York represents going live. New York represents trying to lose the weight. So we get to Ireland, and a crew member goes, you know what? I don't really want to go to New York because it's really scary. So the ship goes in circles around and around Ireland, meaning that we don't get any closer to our destination. We might even go backwards, because part of the subconscious mind is not rebelling, but it's actually trying to protect us, trying to stop us from going to that scary thing called New York, that, the time when we were really slim and attractive and something bad happened, or the time that we weren't drinking, but something happened to cause us to drink. We don't want to go back to that again. So the subconscious mind, I don't like the word self-sabotage. I don't believe that exists, but it's a kind of definition of what's going on in the subconscious mind. So what I do is, or what controller practitioners do, is they look for that crew member and ask the crew member to come forward. Can I speak to the crew member that is responsible for X, Y, or Z? And basically what you do is you get some finger movement, yeah? And you use yes, no responses with that particular crew member to figure out what's going on, and then to get the crew member to understand that that response is no longer appropriate and we need to change it. Now, it seems like a very long-winded process, but let me give you an example from my own personal life of how this works. In around about 2001, 2002, I was working in health and safety at my organization, and my boss came up and went, Paul, I want you to do a presentation. Here's all the information. You've got 2 weeks. Boom, go do it. And me being me at the time, I did no research. I skimmed the material, didn't know how to do presentations, but I'm cleverer than everybody, don't need to know. Come the day, I'm wearing a short sleeve, pale green, kind of that color, a little bit lighter than that colored short sleeve shirt. Within 5 minutes of me starting this presentation, sweat is pouring down my face. My green shirt is now black with perspiration. I'm shivering, I'm shaking, because I've made every single mistake. If you do presentations, you know that you don't have a million words on your screen. When you're doing a PowerPoint press, you don't turn your back on your audience and read from the screen. You know that you research your information. I did everything wrong. Yeah. So basically, we've got 3 responses to when we're afraid. We fight, we run, or we freeze. On this particular occasion, I chose to run, or flight. My boss said, Paul, I'll take over. I literally ran out of that room into the gents' bathroom, and I cried. I felt about that big. So what happens is, I'm going, oh my God, that was awful. That's really bad. I can't go back in that room. I can't see any of these people again. That was so horrible. It's a kind of saber-toothed tiger moment. Yeah. When our body just like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So my subconscious mind goes, oh my God, that was really bad. We never, ever, ever want to go through that again. So for the next 6, 7, 8 years, I didn't stand up in meetings. I didn't go for promotions. I didn't go looking for other jobs. That would mean going for an interview. I hid away from any kind of presentation, which kind of killed my career pretty much for that length of time. because my subconscious mind goes, we can't go near presentation because you remember what happened last time. Now, I'd forgotten all of this consciously. I mean, I didn't remember this because, after a couple of days, it was gone out of my mind. Nobody mentioned it. So it just evaporated from my rational brain. But my subconscious mind knew that it couldn't let that happen again. So in 2008, something happened at work and I was asked to be involved in doing a presentation about it. Even without knowing the date, I said, no, can't do it. Sorry, no way. But I was put in a situation where fight, flight, or freeze, I had to fight. Now, in this case, we're not talking about putting your fists up or grabbing a sharp stick. I had to fight, as in, okay, what do I do to make this bloody thing work? So I went and spoke to people that did presentations. I learned how to use PowerPoint. I learned how to do proper presentations. I knew the material inside out and back to front. So I got invited to the stage and I was, really, really nervous until my foot literally hit the stage and something changed, something snapped. And I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. At the end of the presentation, I got a round of applause. People asked me loads of questions. Off the back of that, I got asked to repeat the same presentation at 3 or 4 other locations. And I fell in love with doing presenting and doing stuff like this. But if that thing hadn't happened in 2008, we wouldn't be talking now. It's extremely unlikely. So that's how the subconscious mind wants to protect us. It doesn't know that I was doing a presentation. It only knows fight, flight, or freeze. And it doesn't want that to happen again. So a classic example, you're being chased by a bear. Yeah. You can either fight the bear, you can try and run away from the bear, or you can lie down and play dead. That's your 3 options. So what happens in the future is if you see going to that forest again, your brain's going to go, oh my God, we don't want to go down here because there was a bear here last time we came. You might not remember that event, but your subconscious mind doesn't want you to die. Our brains have one function. It's to keep us alive so we can procreate the species. That's all. That's its only function. And it does it in this fight, flight, or freeze to protect us, to keep us alive. So what a lot of people call self-sabotage or the little devil inside you, it's not. It's just your subconscious mind trying to protect you from something that happened before. And what we need to do is we need to say to the subconscious mind, look, okay, I understand what you're doing, but that response is no longer appropriate. We need to find a different way of doing something because the bear is no longer there. We need to do the presentation. And what we do with the IMRs is we have that conversation with the subconscious mind without actually having to put the client into trance. So the client is there. She knows what's going on. She knows her surroundings. She can actually, it is so funny when people do this the first time because they go, I'm not moving my fingers, Paul. Honestly, I'm not moving my fingers. I'm not doing it. And the fingers are actually talking to me. Yeah. And it's bizarre and it's funny at the same time. I've done this so many times now and you get the kind of the same response because initially it could be just a little tiny flicker. But as you progress with the client, you start to get really, really big responses. It is absolutely fascinating. That's just one of the tools that I use. I still put people in trance. I also use something called conversational hypnosis, which is really good fun. I love doing that one. It's one of my favorites. It's basically you chat with the client in such a way that one of 2 things happens. Either they go into trance and sort out the thing themselves, or you're having a conversation like we are now, and all of a sudden they go, oh my God, Paul. And I go, what? It's gone. It's disappeared. Where's it gone? So I love hypnosis. I think it's one of the best tools around to help people with lots of stuff, including anxiety and fear and stress and all kinds of things.
Yeah, it's nothing new, isn't it? And thank you so much for sharing so much value. It really, really reminded me. So many things anecdotally popped up from when I first 4 years ago learned about hypno. And I didn't know about law of attraction stuff then. And my first knee-jerk reaction when I first sat there in the hypnotherapy school, it was actually David Nugent was the founding father of solution-focused hypnotherapy, which is, I believe there's about 214 plus different types of hypno or clinical hypnotherapy or therapy. But Solution focus is the only one, which is you do exactly the same thing with anybody and all these different host of things. So it's the only one you can actually do like a research and actually scale it to actually see how well people are doing, because otherwise it's like coaching, it's very bespoke. And I like coaching because I don't like always having to do the same thing to a remit with other people. That's why I was a pub manager for years. Every day's different people, very social, not fucking boring, basically. So my knee-jerk reaction straight away was when I heard about polar bears, the amygdala, our subconscious mind, our conscious mind, and all the gubbins in between about what we can do to help change ourselves, change programs, or super conscious, and actually choosing to focus where we want to be rather than allowing the programs to use the default settings to go straight to the thing that kept you alive yesterday, which you quite rightly put. I was really annoyed. I was pissed. Because I was like when then probably 6 months later, when I wanted to actually start working with people, when I started learning about digital marketing, I then learned about law of attraction, because that comes up in basically any kind of business self-development book. It does all fall back to the same thinking, body, connection, these kind of things. It doesn't always have to be woo-woo or spiritual, but it's, you know, journaling, intentionality, action taking, what you're thinking, believing what you're doing. And the biggest fear, because inherently the only fears we're ever going to have that we're born with is of loud noises, because you're born, and of dropping to see if your sensory, if the baby can kind of have that perception of movement. Other than that, from my opinion and understanding, the same fear that everybody shares is of public, or more commonly is of public speaking. And to pass one of the modules in my hypnotherapy, the school that I went to, we'd do like weekends. We'd go away to like a nice, like sort of holistic centre, and we'd be there all weekend. And I used to laugh back then, saying, why wouldn't you just do this online or something, or like in a course? Because we spend like the first day talking about what's been good. And it was a load of crap, really. It's like, oh, we want to get to the juicy stuff, you know, the brain scans, and actually work in trance and doing the NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming, the frameworks, the modalities, learning about the different gurus, you know, how it all started. And it all falls back to, you know, basically NLP. And then different people have kind of fashioned different ways of working with people to suit different styles. But I had to do the initial consultation, and they wanted me to do it word for word. And they say, right, you have to sit there and film it. So you'd have someone else sit there opposite you, and you go, oh, hello. And you had to do it word for word without scripts or anything. And I said, oh, I know it, but I'm just going to do it kind of a cappella. And it might be disjointed, you know, talking about how the body's response is, why we suffer in the way that we do with anxiety, OCDs, depression, and actually kind of understanding, like you said earlier as well, is what's a problem? Because we have an illusion of problems so that we have an experience. You know, we pick up on negative things, and it actually like slows down time for us to experience things. That's why time flies when we're having fun. But all these fears that are kind of conditioned or programmed into us are false. But what happened to me during this live speech? I was shaking like hell. Weeks and weeks I put it off until the very last moment, and I'm there with like friends with this script thing in front of me, which is a language pattern, not a script apparently, because we're not allowed to call things scripts in hypno. And I'm shaking, I'm saying stuff, and they're prompting me, and I go, you're going to be great, you're going to be great. Oh, it is one of the worst things I've ever had to do. I felt like a complete failure. I felt I lost my, it actually made me lose my confidence. And I was saying to my tutors at the time, I was like, surely we could have just put me into like a trance or a relaxation state. And then I could have just almost been like going, because you can totally do that. And they were like, no, you were fine. You were fine. And I was like, I don't feel fine. You know, I could hardly walk and all these other things. So now when people kind of turn around and are very uncomfortable about hypnosis or trance, and we try and explain to them, actually trance is very, very common. We go into trances all times of you know, all the time, and like multiple times a day, whether you're daydreaming on a walk, whether you're running, that kind of thing. We actually go into waking hypnosis watching television. which essentially, we won't go down this rabbit hole, but essentially television programs are programs for a reason. And there is subliminal messages, there's branding, there's product placement, and there's all these different things to be with advertising, and even everything around us, you know, billboards with this on and that on. So by everything going online and us having this like connection, it's so more important now for people to understand what's happening with their bodies and minds, and understand that if they feel like shit and if they're sewering their minds and their bodies with alcohol and these things, there's certain little tweaks we can make in like life or human optimization techniques. Even I'm a massive advocate for water, and everyone on my channels knows I'm always talking about bloody water. And my history did used to be, I didn't know. I'd be the first person to have a beer, go to McDonald's, get on the shots with my mates down the pub watching a football, and that was fine. But that's how I was brought up. That's how I was conditioned and programmed to be. This is life. And it was only when I kind of got unplugged and I kind of thought, I started listening to that intuition, that there was something else, and that I knew that I don't like the conversations that are happening in my head. And so, you know, it kind of fell in my lap, the hypnotherapy, and actually taking that relaxation time to actually let go of thinking. And that actually leads very nicely to say that people don't understand what hypnotherapy is or what trance therapy is. And it's very much kind of similar to meditation. Apart from with hypnosis, you've got the subconscious and the conscious mind focused on one thing. So it can be reprogrammed at a rapid rate, rather than, you know, you've had for years someone saying to you, you're this, you're that, you're that. And that's how belief systems are kind of inherently built. And then we carry them. And then you feel unworthy, conditional love, all these things. But hypnosis, to me, I think the nicest way to explain it, like with meditation, is it's just to let go of thinking and to focus on something, you know, focusing on something. And that's why they have gilded or guided meditations. But you are, I mean, I listen to, if I didn't listen to probably an hour and a half, 2 hours of either affirmation-based hypnotherapy or even like reprogramming audios with delta wave, binary beats, it makes a difference. It really does. I mean, I can go on holiday and have a couple of days without it, but then I choose to, you know, I choose to lay there in the afternoon and just give myself that gift of giving myself 10 minutes to take a break from my life, take a break from thinking. Because we think, without doing this, until we discovered this, did we ever stop thinking? We're not programmed to stop thinking. We're hardwired to look for problems, to move away from, to keep us safe, like you rightly put. When actually in modern day, we don't have a lot of fucking things going on for us to be in a fight, flight, or freeze situation like polar bears, or say, for instance, cavemen wouldn't go out the cave because we said the last couple of days it's been raining and miserable, and they would stay in. They couldn't hunt. They wouldn't go out at night because it's dangerous. So they'd pull the rug back over, stay in where it's safe. But in modern terms, modern day, that's depression. So sometimes when we're low mood or we want to have duvet days, it's cool to have that self-care. But what are we thinking and what are we doing? Because sometimes actually going out, forcing ourselves to go out, walk in nature, take a run when that little voice is saying, your lungs are going to pop, you're going to die, and all this kind of stuff, but you're pushing through it like a coach or a personal trainer will. But when people now talk about therapy, coaches, or mindset, rather than sort of like a personal trainer, it's kind of, ooh, my sister, bless her, is like, oh no, I don't, you know, she thought I was going to get her barking like a dog or something. And I'm like, no, because there's free will. You know, you see stage hypnotism is bollocks. Those people are doing what they want. They're not
Absolutely.
They're not. They're not literally. It does amaze me sometimes how good and concise they are. Especially when they say you can't say 5 or blue, and they try and catch them out, and they don't say these things. But the reason why some people are told no, go and sit back down is because they can very much see who's going to play along and who isn't. But it's just there for entertainment. Hypnotherapy, trance, what you do, the way I work with people now, or giving them the resources so they can help themselves. People don't always pick up the resources unless they basically, if people are paying, they pay attention free information, like a mentor, a shared mentor of ours would say, free information is worth every penny. But when you pay attention. And also because you want value, if you've paid, you're going to show up more. So, we've covered a hell of a lot today, and a hell of a lot of value for people, especially if they're maybe unhappy in their lives. Maybe I think that we're in this societal trap at the moment of trends. So people going, oh, that's my anxiety. Okay. If we learn about our body, physiology wise, the same body response when we're excited or when we're scared is the same. So it's actually the labels, I think, and what we're telling ourselves, the stories, the self-fulfilling prophecies that we kind of curse or put spells on ourselves. Oh, I'm so stupid. And it's like, don't talk to yourself like that. If you're gonna, and I used to do it, but we pick up on the language from other people. Someone saying, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, it's just because I'm this. And it's like, if you're saying that to yourself, you haven't got a fighting chance, have you? So then having that time to listen to something nice, 8 minutes of something saying, I love money, money loves me, because we all have like so many people have like money blockages because money doesn't grow on trees. We can't have what we want, or we got to work so damn hard hour for hour for every little thing. But then we waste so much. But no one's educating on us not to waste our time, our thoughts, and our energy. So essentially, we can rebrand. I know that like religious systems don't like hypnotherapy and therapy. They say it's some. I don't know why they don't like it, because this isn't anything new. It's thousands of years. The Egyptians, it's very well in hieroglyphics and stuff, very well documented about people kind of having that oneness, going within, sacred of spiritual, like animals, and that connection to self, essentially. And we have to go within. If I didn't go within, I probably wouldn't be here. If I didn't have a dog 15 years ago that gave me something to live for, that I probably wouldn't be here now. But then everything's happening for us, not to us. And we do get to choose. Like when you said about the polar bear and that, and you sort of realize, your mind isn't innovative as such. So it's a vigilant mind. And if you think that there's a polar bear or you see one walking down the street, you're going to keep checking. And because we've been programmed that way, that's what keeps a lot of people stuck. But I think also a lot of people are stuck in that comfortable place because they can use it as an excuse. They can say, oh, it's my anxiety or this, or you don't understand. What actually makes us all different is, which a lot of humans is why we're so similar. Because we're all, let's just say our minds are like a computer. The conscious is the programmer. The subconscious is the programs which have been installed. But once you realize that, you can choose what fucking CDs and what programs you're watching, just like when you're on telly. Yeah, okay, I like a bit of EastEnders and Coronation Street, and it's always nice to sit down with Nanny and watch it. Sometimes I have to give myself half an hour a day to do something where I'm not like on the phone, or not doing something where my mind is thinking about how can I help people, how can I serve people, spreading love and joy and positive ripples. Sometimes I need to go unplug, go and do something where I can literally go into that trance-like state, which isn't something that's programming me, just to watch, The Holiday or something. Christmas evening, it was lovely. Just sat there, just went, yeah, Nanny's gone to bed, cleaned up the house, everything done, had good food. Just sat and thought, you know what? It's a little bit cute, it's a little bit quirky. Just sit there and just, nice feels. But I'm so aware now of a lot of the things in movies and in programs, which is so negative and gets you almost emotionally attached to what's happening, which I think is amazing, because these people are actors. They're not really having these things happen, but they project it on you. I mean, I've understanding now about being hyper empathic and empathic, but something will happen, say in a series, and someone's upset and you see them crying, and you take that on board and feel that way yourself. So do you know what I don't do these days? I do not watch horror movies. I do not watch anything with anything that is like evil and this kind of thing. And I'm like, whoa, no, because that stuff really does have an effect. And also I think it's about what you put in your mind will then show back up sometimes. So I try and steer kids away from these shoot movies where they get to sort of drive over a granny in a car and then blow someone up. It's like, you're going to go to bed thinking about that, and you're going to be in that as you go to bed. So, you know, we've got a massive responsibility to, one, educate, and to, you know, set ourselves up for the win by being aware. You used that word earlier, actually, about the self-awareness. And it's about kind of knowing that clarity about what you want, right? If you think you've got a problem, you've got to make a choice, a conscious choice to step towards what it is you want, not stay there in the loop. The default mode going around island, going around the island because you're thinking, oh shit, I don't want to go that way. I don't want to go that way. And unfortunately, I think society-wise is set up in a way so that we can keep on the hamster wheel. So it is a massive responsibility for people like ourselves to try and get in front of people's eyes and drip feed little seeds to say, do you know what? You can listen to something. You could not have 5 hours of Netflix today if you've got the next few days off work. You could trade that in for, it might be a Tony Robbins thing on Netflix, or it might be actually What the Secret Is. Pick up a book. If you don't like books, I'm not a massive one for reading, but audio books, the digital age is so much information able at the palm of your hands now. It is redonkulous, absolutely redonkulous. And people can choose, become anything they want. Look how you changed from the corporate world into doing what you're doing now. How I went from being DJ party boy, thinking that I don't know if I'm going to can't see past my 20s. Then daughter was born and I started thinking, I probably need to be around. Probably have to make some lifestyle choices, start looking into wealth creation. Of course, the digital whole assets and the digital world has blown up now. So it's important for people to realize that, because if you don't comply with new things, you know, you get left behind. So, Paul, is there anything else that's popped into your head or that you'd like to say? Or have you got a message or an offer for anyone? How can other people find you? If you drop a couple of either a link or something afterwards in the comments, possibly, or if you say it now, if anyone's interested in more of the work that you do, the control system, please share.
I think what people need to do is to take responsibility for your life. Let me give an example. If you are not happy with something, you've got 3 choices. You can do nothing about it and just bitch and moan and complain for the rest of your life. You can do nothing about it and just put up with it, or you can decide to make a difference in your own personal life. The biggest challenge is, it's like you mentioned this earlier on, it's very, very easy to stay where you are. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't, because to make changes is challenging. If you're in a relationship with someone who's not a very nice person, it's easier to stay in that relationship and take the punishment literally and figuratively than it is to grab your kids, grab a bag of clothing, and to go into a woman's shelter, for example, for the next couple of years, because that's going to be hard times. On my podcast, I've talked to people that have done this, and it's no fun. It's a massive, massive, difficult, challenging step. But what they left behind was far worse than moving into that challenging period. But the important thing is they made a decision. And this is mega important, because look, stop beating yourself up. If you're in a situation you don't like, you're not going to do anything about it. Go, okay, I don't like this situation. I don't do anything about it. So stop blaming yourself. Just carry on. Because all you're doing is you're adding additional anxiety and additional stress by putting yourself down for not taking action. If you're going to take action, brilliant. Go for it. Pick a time, pick a date, and do it. Yeah. But again, don't look back. Don't blame yourself for things that now are difficult or more difficult, because you're going to go through it. You're going to go through it. But once you've made that decision, go with it 100%. Do what you need to do. Or if you decide not to do anything, then don't. But stop beating yourself up. It's the classic, I'm 5 stone overweight and I should go on a diet. I really should go on a diet. I really should go down. I really should cut down. I should maybe not have that beard tonight. I shouldn't go for that takeaway. But I'm going to have that takeaway now. I feel guilty for having that takeaway. Don't do it. If you are happy being the size you are, then stop worrying about what you should be. And just because all you're doing is you're creating more challenges for yourself mentally. Yeah. And if you want to do something about it, be determined and don't do stop start. Okay. Well, this is one of the reasons why I hate New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions are so demeaning for people. I'm going to join a gym. So you pay for a year's membership, you go 3 times, and then you stop going. And the challenge with that is, okay, first of all, you've lost some money. Secondly, you've lost some self-respect again, because you kind of told yourself you're going to do this thing, and then you don't do it. And it's like, oh God, I haven't done it again. I'm always going to look like this. Oh God, I feel awful, blah, blah, blah. But also, probably even worse is you've told your mates, you've gone on Facebook, and the little tiny loss of self-respect. Now, nobody may say this to you, but it's like, oh, you know what? Paul's done it again. He said he was going to join a gym and he's going to lose 5 stone. Has he? No. The guy's useless. And so
it's best to do stuff in silence sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of it just sinks in. It just sinks in. If you're determined to do something, yeah, announce it, but make sure that you're going to bloody do it. Because it's just a lack of and a loss of self-respect. So yeah, my word is, or my final words are, if you're going to do something, do it and get on with it. If you're not going to do it, don't do it, but don't punish yourself for not doing it, because that just increases your anxiety, it increases your stress, and can lead to depression and other things. You can find me anywhere. Paul Wilson Coaching. On Facebook, The Real Paul Wilson, because Paul Wilson's a very common name, so I had to put The Real in front to get Paul Wilson Facebook. But yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere. Thanks for having me on the show today, Terry. Really appreciate it.
What's your podcast called, Paul?
A Happy Head Podcast.
Cool, excellent. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we could talk about this stuff all day. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many kind of cans of worms we could open and go down. It's so valuable. So we'll definitely do this again, because I think it's valuable for people, especially if they basically don't understand or heard this stuff before. Then it's gold, absolute gold, because literally stress is the biggest killer, fear is the biggest killer, and by having awareness, by going within, whether it be for relaxation purposes or for reprogramming, it's nothing new. It's just it's almost a birthright to give yourself that gift of letting go and being kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
That's one of the biggest things. I think that the meaning of life is to be kind and help people, but that starts with going within. Our happiness is within us, because it's the way we think. Everything starts with a thought, and if we can't go within, quite often we will go without. So on that note, absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for sharing this space with me today. So guys, if anybody wants to know more about Paul Wilson, you find him on the channels, wherever if you're on the Facebook, you're going to be able to, he's tagged in the post as well. And yeah, absolute pleasure, and happy new year to you, sir. Oh, we didn't talk about resolutions, but I'm actually if you've liked what we're talking about, guys, stay tuned this week. I'm going to be drip feeding a little bit of how I'm going to be going like a rocket for 2022, what I'm going to do to help other people with these resolutions, because people like Paul and I we want to help people as much as possible, and we don't always like seeing people fall within a week of things that they want to do, because then tomorrow never comes. So there are things we can do to help you guys, and we're going to I'm certainly going to be making a plan to do that for 2022 and keep you accountable, and it helps me too. So take care, Paul. Thank you very much, sir. We will speak to everyone soon. I'm going to come off of Instagram. Thank you very much down there. Hope you enjoyed it. And to everybody else, take good care of yourselves and each other. Be kind. And remember, mind, body, soul. It all starts with you. And you do have a choice. Namaste. Take care, guys. Thank you very much. See you, Paul.